Welcome back, guys. This is Gaming with Austin, and today we're gonna go to episode 44 of the Utopian Community series. It's on. What we're doing this episode 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. One, two. Now I'm setting up. There's cobblestone poles. 3, 4, 5. I'm having them be like to where there are 5 blocks in between them. The reason for this is there are 5 blocks in between the paths. I want to make it fair. Four, 5, 3, 4, 5. It's unfair that the big box companies overprice cheaply made computers. Already set up that guideline. Now we're rolling towards add more columns. Oops. I'd like it to be in a straight line, not a curved line, or a kinked line. And the reason for this pattern, one of those reasons, some of it has to do with aesthetics. Some of it has to do with aesthetics. It's not just to support the weight of the heavier the farms on top of them. It's also for aesthetics too. Plus, stone tends to be sort of strong. Stone tends to be sort of strong. Oops. Much better. But you know, it sort of breaks easily, maybe. But since there are no concrete 5 poles, I'm left with no choice but to use stone walls. As a result of not being able to use just yawning. with the stone walls, they would act like poles to hold the farm together. Because it's going to be a huge building. It's going to be a huge building. Because vertical farms tend to be pretty huge. Those stone walls would poles would act like internal supports for the building. Sorry about the yawning. Because without those supports, the building would get crushed under its own weight. Meaning it'll be hard to farm in a scenario like that. Excuse me. If there are concrete walls, I would use that. If they don't have it. So I'm stuck with stone. With the fast food, it's not you that chooses to be addicted to fast food. Fast food's designed to be addictive. It's designed to be addictive. Just like it's not you. Smartphones are designed to be addictive. It's like that for a reason. If they had a scarecrow, I'd put it on to scare the pigs away. Them piggies away. Which would sort of be funny. But not really. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, And I'm doing this so it'll be easier in the long run. In the long run. 7. Sorry about those long pauses. One of Eminem's, but some recent news, one of Eminem's influences has passed away from the apparent drug overdose. They found the cause of death of Burt Reynolds he suffered a heart attack. This is why it's best to have your heart checked every now and then, to make sure you don't end up like him. No one wants to end up like him. Because his death was pretty sad for the film, and it was pretty sad for the film industry. Just like, but unlike Burt Reynolds, Ronald Lee Ermey, he died in the 60s from pneumonia. Possibly drug resistant. What's driving bacterium to the brink of antibiotic resistance? Factory farming is what's driving it. It's also mutating bacteria. And also the biggest cause of global warming in the 21st century. We can only absorb so much CO2 at once. Because if we absorb too much CO2, the amount of oxygen we'll breathe in, it's gonna end up producing even more CO2. We're gonna end up producing even more CO2 from our lungs. As CO2 is a waste product of respiration. Oxygen is a waste product of photosynthesis. It's a waste product of photosynthesis. So is blood sugar, also known as glucose. Sucrose is table sugar. Fructose is fruit sugar. Lactose is milk sugar. Sucrose, when it gets broken down into blood sugar and fruit sugar, which is what starch is a combination of. Blood sugar and fruit sugar. Which is why starchy foods are pretty high on the glycemic index. Which is why it's better to use those compared to sweets for diabetics. If type 2 diabetes is diagnosed early enough, you can actually get rid of it. Which is pretty good. But if you're diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, no matter how early you were diagnosed with it, you're fucked. You're gonna have that for life. It doesn't fucking matter how early it's diagnosed. With type 2 diabetes, if it's diagnosed early enough, you could get rid of it. Like before symptoms kick in. Slowly but steadily, I'm adding more columns of stone walls to make it easier. with the nostalgia, the shows from the 1980s and 90s. There are some good shows today as well. One of the worst Nicktoons is the Butt Ugly Martians. The Butt Ugly Martians. The show is definitely pretty ugly. Make sure it's 5 blocks. Good. Everything's pretty good now. And eventually, the farm wouldn't just be one floor, it'll be multiple floors. NASCAR originated up in the Redneck Mountains. Why I call it the Redneck Mountains for the Appalachia? Because most of the mountain people over there are rednecks. Living in log cabins, making moonshine, watching NASCAR, and drinking beer! And also moonshine. This is how we make the moonshine! Have you heard the that is the opening that's the opening phrase of Moonshiners. One of the most well-known moonshiners out there is Popcorn Sutton. He was the not only he was a moonshiner, he was actually the definition of an Appalachian redneck. He had a lot of redneck stereotypes in him. If I was at a NASCAR race, I'd make my own moonshine and give it to NASCAR fans for free. I wouldn't sell it to them. I'd give it to them. I'd be nice to them. Just like a nice car. Can it? Yeah. I have a friend of mine who is a NASCAR fan. My uncle, he used to be a NASCAR fan. If I was to watch NASCAR, I'd do it while brewing. I'd probably do it while making some moonshine. Now I wonder if the redneck shop in Lawrence County has the stuff to help you make the moonshine. Because, you know, when people think of rednecks, they think of people bootlegging booze. Murphy's from Metalocalypse, he loves booze. So much he'd rather chop out.
Calm down.
Okay. My brother was telling me to calm down. back to the video. Murderface. He bragged about how much he loved his booze by saying he'd rather chop off his pee-pee than admit that booze ain't food. From Metalocalypse. With his booze habits, he's probably an alcoholic. Alcoholism's a pretty big problem here. It's an even bigger problem in Russia. Which is probably one of the factors behind Russia's falling population. Another one is people are not having as much kids in Russia. It's not just the alcoholism. People are not having kids as much over there. American couples usually have 2 children. They usually have 2 children. Some have 3 or even 4. Very rarely, they have 10, 12, or even 20 kids. Like 19 and counting. 19 and counting. To stretch my back. In Florida, where Bubba J was probably from, in his original hat, it's home to a lot of death metal bands. And Disney World. Florida, death metal theme park. I'd call, if I give Florida a nickname, I'd call it Death Metal Theme Park. Why Death Metal Theme Park? It's home to Disney World, Legoland, Universal Studios, SeaWorld, and Busch Gardens. And it's also home to a lot of death metal bands. Not just Cannibal Corpse, but also Morbid Angel. And Deicide. Nathan Explosion, the lead singer of Death Clock's based... A lot of him is based off of Corpse Grinder. Even his voice is similar to Corpse Grinder. To describe... Let me describe Corpse Grinder to you. He's got a really large neck. When he bangs his head in a windmill fashion. He doesn't do it slowly, he does it really fast. Rapid fire headbanging. One video in which you see Corpse Grinder banging his head really fast like that is Killer Become. It's definitely Kill or Become. Another one is Evisceration Plague. Definitely an example. Both songs are death metal. Before Corpse Grinder went into the band, on the song, the most famous song from Cannibal Corpse is Hammer Smashed Face. The galloping rhythm in that is similar to that of Raining Blood by Slayer. Like, it's a reverse scallop. Like, similar to what you'll hear in Mermaider by by Death Clock. In some videos of Cannibal Corpse live concerts, Corpse Grinder is shown wearing a Death Clock shirt. Outside of death metal, he is a frequenter at Disney World. He goes to Disney World a lot. He goes to Disney World a lot. With his wife and 2 daughters. He does have an Instagram account. Now, outside of death metal, one thing Corpse Grinder is known for is his really huge neck. Every time he wakes up, his neck makes breakfast for him. Literally. Every time he wakes up, breakfast, plate full of his breakfast is already on his neck. That's how large his neck is. His hair is really long. Outside of death metal, like, when he does the normal stuff, like what Nathan Explosion calls regular jack-offs do, does what the other jack-offs do. Yes, I'm using that to refer to what Nathan Explosion referred to in the first episode of Metalocalypse. When he said, "We gotta do our own grocery shopping, like other regular jack-offs do." Don't just buy booze, that ain't food. Like that. Cannibal Corpse has some of the grossest sounding songs out there. That's okay. So, death metal songs like that are supposed to be... death metal is supposed to be like that. Whenever I go to Disney World in March, and if I see a guy with a really large neck, a wife and 2 daughters with his hair pulled back, something similar to how one of my friends pulls his hair back, that's probably Cannibal Corpse's frontman, I'd come up to him and meet him. Yes, that would be Corpse Grinder. His real name is George, but everybody calls him Corpse Grinder. His real name's George Fisher. His real name is George Fisher. If he was wearing a Death Clock shirt, it'd make it easier for people to recognize him as the Corpse Grinder. Because, Nathan Explosion was heavily inspired by Corpse Grinder himself. Both voice and physical appearance. William Murderface, on the other hand, is based off of one of the members of Black Sabbath. He's based off of one of the members of Black Sabbath. Along with one of the members of Genghis Khan. With the death metal... And if I was blasting death metal at Disney World at a ride, that'd be pretty funny. Similar to that heavy metal poodle from The Secret Life of Pets. His name is Leonard. Not Leonard Skinner, but Leonard. Leonardo without the O. You be a good boy, Leonard! Then his owner leaves, then Leonard blasts heavy metal. If he was blasting Moose to Crackish by Death Clock, that'd be even funnier.
Oh, to rock, Death Clock, 33. Talking about it over here. William Murphy's Pickle
That is the death theme. The song Mermaider has reverse gallop similar to that of... It sounds a bit more like Metallica than it does Slayer. Slayer is, with the band Slayer, it's one of the inspirations for other death metal bands too. Even though they are a thrash metal band. Death Clock, Death Clock, Death Clock, Death Clock. That's what I mean by the death theme. The real lead singer of Death Clock is Brandon Small. Brandon Small. Death Clock is a melodic death metal band from Metalocalypse. With Murderface, the reason why my brother called him the Mushroom Head is because his head's in the shape of a mushroom. His haircut reminds him of a mushroom. Wonder what it would be like if he dressed up as Dora the Explorer for cosplay. He'd have to shave his face. That'd be... because they both have similar haircuts. Except the difference is that Dora the Explorer is a girl. Murderface does not speak Spanish. And Dora's is more of a football shaped compared to Murderface. If I had a football head and Dora's haircut along with the football head, that'd be pretty funny. That's it for this video. Leave a like if you liked this video, dislike if you disliked it, subs if you loved it. Share this with your friends to help my channel grow. As always, thank you for watching, and as always, peace out.